Hey everyone, we are going to talk about expectations today. It's one of those things where we kind of get a little too ahead of ourselves. And if you've ever listened to someone and they were going on about their expectations in their life, and then you were like, whoa, that's a lot to unpack. And let's break it down some. The question is we don't realize when we do that to ourselves. And coming from someone who is a type A personality, I'm a recovering perfectionist, I am the first to tell you that I've been totally rigid before in making expectations. And then whenever I go to do them and something comes up, life happens, then I get really frustrated with myself. So let's get a few definitions out of the way that are used pretty interchangeably, but the true meanings are different. So those are expectations, standards, and dreams. So expectations are defined as a strong belief that someone will or should achieve something. Standard is defined as a level of quality or attainment. Another definition for standard is used or accepted as normal or average. And let's check out the definition of dream. So, dream is a series of thoughts, images, and sensations occurring in a person's mind when they sleep. But a definition that kind of better suits our conversation today is a cherished aspiration, ambition, or ideal. So, if you think about it and you really dissect these definitions, they are quite different than what we use them as interchangeably, like with expectation and standard. Like there's a clear difference. So we started with expectations first. So we're going to unpack that one first. So true expectations will disappoint us. We place way too much attachment to expectations, and as Buddha said, the root of all suffering is attachment. Often we get attached to the idea of how things will be done or what will be done. So this is given our power away to a belief that we have created in our mind. So we are creating our own torture device, basically. And what purpose does it serve? And so it's something that, so for our expectations, we need to look at the purpose that it serves. Why do we want to do it or do it? What good will it serve? Will it better my life or somebody else's life? Or is it just some made up belief that we have? And here is a mind-blowing fact, is beliefs can be lies. I mean, if you look at the word belief and break it down, it literally has lie in it, right? So we kind of have to really look at expectations and kind of okay, is this something that I've made up in my head, or is this really following true to what we're going to dive into next? And that's a standard. And, like I said earlier in the podcast with me, type A personality person, I love to have standards. Give me clear-cut objective data there where there's little confusion and on when the standard is met, right? Yeah, but there is sometimes where people are so they think that because I'm saying you shouldn't have expectations, you shouldn't have standards, which is totally not true. You should have standards, right? We should all have standards on how people treat us and how we treat other people. So we often hold ourselves to higher standards too than what we would for other people. And that's not fair to us, but we do it. We do it all the time because we're told that we can do anything and we can do anything and we have to do everything. And that's not true. It's a belief that we made up in our head to create our own torture. So we need to look at the standards that we place on ourselves. Will we put those standards on somebody else? Most likely not. And you also have to kind of adjust those standards for something that's going on in your life. Seasons are different in everybody's life. And, my fall is totally different from my fall 3 years ago, or my spring 4 years ago is different from this upcoming spring will be. So we have to be flexible and go with the flow and not so rigid on ourselves. So, I'm going to use this for an example. When I was working full time and going to school full time, would it have been a fair standard for me, the type A personality that's likes to overachieve, to expect straight A's in all my classes? No. But making a C or above was much more doable. Although I'm not going to lie, deep down inside, I wanted those A's. I went after those A's, but I didn't get those straight A's. Having too high standards can start to kind of get back, can mesh into you turn it into expectations. So you really have to be different. You really have to be cognizant of how that is and how you're looking at it. So go back and look at the definition of standards when you're getting too rigid on yourself. So standards equal the level of quality or attainment accepted as normal or average. So we're being good enough, right? We're getting good enough. We don't have to try to be extraordinary. We just have to be good enough. We always want to be that little extra, right? We should try, we should always try our best, but we shouldn't beat ourselves up when we've tried our best. And this is the best that we can get. And now we land on the word dream. A cherished aspiration, ambition, or ideal. How many of us still have dreams? I've talked to people over the past couple of weeks, and I would ask them, what's your dream? And they can't tell me. And I was like, come on, what do you want out of life? I honestly don't know. And everyone should have at least one dream, if not more. Dreams, without them, we become stagnant. And I could do a whole another episode on what prevents us from dreaming and why as adults we stop dreaming. Expectations we learn are a path that leads to disappointment. Standards, it's an accepted range of average or normal. Dreams give us that little nudge, that little excitement of what it could be like. We'll never know if we don't get started, right? So like I said, I'm not going to dive too much into this about dreams and dissect them just yet. That's going to be coming up, so just stay tuned with that. So to wrap all this up, we should not burden ourselves with expectations. We should live up to our standards while reaching for our dreams. Thank you. Make sure to give a thumbs up. Be sure to subscribe if you haven't found me on Facebook or Instagram. It's All to Health and Wellness. All one word, all spelled out. All right. See you next time.